So good afternoon. My name is Vince Greenland. I'm the district executive for PennDOT District 9, which oversees transportation services in our region, including Blair County. I'd like to welcome everybody on this glorious day to the private William E. Green Bridge Memorial dedication. Certainly nice to see so many friends and family gather here today. Also welcoming Jennifer Markle from Congressman Joyce's office, as well as Representative Jim Gregory and Senator Judy Ward. So now, if I could, please ask everybody to stand, if you're able, for the presentation of the colors by the Blair County Veterans Honor Guard.
Honor Guard, hut, forward, arm, forward, march. Honor Guard, halt. Order, arm. Left, knee. Post to cower. Freeze and arm. Order, arm. Parade, rep.
Now I would ask that Douglas Mingle give the invocation. He is the husband of Joellen Green Mingle, Private Green's niece.
I invite you to pray with me, please. Almighty God, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. We have a wonderful history of a people who ran to you in times of storm, and you became a shelter. Americans are truly blessed, and we gratefully acknowledge your grace, supply, and freedom. We also acknowledge that in this fallen world, evil rises up to challenge our resolve to hold on to our liberty and to protect the liberty of others. Time and again, you have used men and women as they stood in the gap to resist evil. Many have given their days. Some have given their lives. May they rest in peace. Gracious God, you have been faithful, yet we have been forgetful. Forgive us that it only takes one generation to forget the names of those who gave their last full measure of devotion. Too soon, they become mere statistics, faceless casualties. Today, we stand united against such apathy as we enshrine the name of William E. Green at a bridge that will stand as a memorial for. We do not forget his sacrifice, nor let him die from our often distracted memory. We come with humility and profound gratefulness as we dedicate this monument. We pledge to treat it with dignity and pause our busy minds and hearts to remember when we pass by. God bless this ceremony of honor. Bless everyone who worked to enact, organize, and participate in this recognition. Bless the family of William Green and the families of all who have lost to war ones they love. God, bless America. We ask this in the name of our God and Savior. Amen.
Thank you. I now would ask that Betsy Hammis, the niece of Private Green, to please come up and sing the national anthem for us.
Honor Guard, hut, freeze and arm.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly
Thank you, Betsy. Now leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance is Jerry Green, U.S. Army veteran and Private Green's nephew.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor God. Forward. Arm. Forward arm. Right. Peace. Forward. March.
You may be seated. So now I'd like to introduce two of the people that are really responsible for the event along with the Green family. I can tell you from being involved in these around the region, that's no small task to be here today to witness a dedication like that. So it's my distinct honor and pleasure to first introduce to you Senator Judy Ward.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'd like to thank Representative Gregory's office and Representative Gregory and his staff for the work that they put into this. It's such a beautiful ceremony, and every single time that I'm involved in one of these, it just really, it's so special. So it's just a privilege to be here today to honor Private William E. Green and recognize his distinguished legacy of military service, which culminated with the ultimate sacrifice. Most certainly, this bridge is dedicated to an American hero. Private Green gave his life as a defender of freedom and champion of democracy. He will forever be remembered as a courageous soldier, valued professional in our community, and beloved family member and friend. The dedication of this bridge is a reflection of the gratitude that is owed to Private Green by our entire nation. All who cross this bridge will know that Private Green was a man worthy of admiration and respect. As President Kennedy so eloquently stated, a nation reveals itself not only by the men it produces, but also the men that it honors, the men that it remembers. End quote. On behalf of my colleagues in the Senate and constituents throughout the 30th Legislative District, I express a heartfelt congratulations to Private Green's family members for the honor that has been bestowed upon him today. This bridge is forged in steel, but its strength will forever be fortified by the character of a man who bravely fought for the preservation of democratic principles and ideals. Thank you for allowing me to share in this commemoration of Private Green's life. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator. And now I'd like to introduce State Representative Jim Gregory.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is my honor to be here. Thank you, Senator Ward, for being here, and to my staff for the incredible amount of work that goes into making this the ceremony and the honor that so many of you will remember for the rest of your lives. When I take a look at the sign to my right and it says, "Gratitude turns what we have into enough," there is so much gratitude in this room as we speak for the service of William Green. Scoop. Before the ceremony, I had a chance to talk to some of the family members. And I'm looking over at Joel as we speak, and I told myself I may not be able to look over at him because he's the crier of the family. And he is. Because, as Jim Valvano said in his memorable speech on ESPN as he was battling cancer, a good day is when we have our emotions moved. And today, 72 years later, 72 years, it's taken a while, but it happens in God's time when it's meant to. And Joel, isn't this a great day? It is a great day. So I thought of a number of things. I thought of Scoop, pretty good baseball player, pretty good football player. I would have imagined calling some of his highlights on Friday night high school football at the TV station. You know, that would have been something. But to be here to highlight the sacrifice that he was called to make so that we could all live free lives today. Many of us, all of us at some point in our lives, face a moment of reckoning. And on that day in 1952, in that machine gun nest, he faced that moment of reckoning. He followed his orders. He followed his instructions. He followed his training. But more importantly than that, he followed his heart and he followed his conscience to know that he was going to stay there and fight in that machine gun nest in the face of what he knew was a dire situation. And he did it for all of us. And he did it with honor, and we honor that today. Thank you for the opportunity to recognize his sacrifice for all of us, and that this bridge will be in his name for all of us to remember, and for all who pass it to think about what he did for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you to both Representative Gregory and Senator Ward for their leadership in honoring heroes like Private Green. The practice of naming of a state infrastructure is a rare and honor gesture. With over 25,454 state-owned bridges across Pennsylvania, only 525 of those are legislatively named. In the PennDOT District 9 region, which is comprised of 6 counties, there are 2,101 state-owned bridges, with just 110 of those being named. And here in Blair County, there are 324 state-owned bridges, with just 15 being legislatively named. As you can see from these numbers, this is a remarkable honor that's bestowed upon only a select few. Today, we are adding Private William H. Green's name to the list of those so honored. It is inspirational and honor to be able to share the stories of the service of those who dedicated their time and often their lives for the protection and preservation of our freedom. Words alone cannot express our gratitude, but through events like this, we honor their legacy and establish a permanent tribute to remind us of the noble service of the men and women of our armed forces and share their stories with those present today, as well as those who travel across bridges such as this. From today forward, the citizens of Blair County and members of the traveling public will be able to see the signage that honors Private William Green. This signage and designation will serve as a reminder of his contributions and sacrifices to his community and country. This is an honor that will be in place for future generations to see. I, along with everyone at PennDOT and those who were involved in the creation of these memorials, are proud and honored to be part of a tribute that remembers our servicemen and women. I would now ask the representatives from the family, Linda Green Latchall and Annetta Green Geyer, to come up for the unveiling of the sign. As they make their way up, the signs that are out at the bridge were actually, they were uncovered about 10 after 2 today. So after the ceremony, you can drive to the bridge and actually see the signs. Okay, now I'll ask Linda to say some thoughts.
Well, I have a few thoughts and memories for you. Keep in mind, these are the memories of a just turned 7-year-old. I wasn't very old when my brother was killed, the day before my birthday. And we had a special relationship, though. He was my I had 2 big brothers, and they were special to me. Sorry, Annetta and my other sister, but, you know, the brothers were special. And Bill and I, he used to listen to country western music. And I don't know if it was a Friday night or Saturday night, what night it was, they always broadcast the Grand Ole Opry on WWVA from Wheeling, West Virginia. And he would listen to it, and I would listen to it with me. And I just remember before he left for basic training in December, there was a country western concert out at Memorial Park in Martinsburg at the roller skating rink. And he took me on a date. And we went out to that concert. And on the way home, we stopped at a gas station. It used to be out there on the edge of town going to Martinsburg. I can't remember the name of it, but they had a little diner kind of thing in there too. And he stopped there to get gas, and he went inside, and his friends were in there hanging out. And he told his friends he had a date in the car. And they all came out running out to see who he was dating. And it was me. He just was really, really special to me. I've always felt a special connection. And one other time, I remember I was playing with my dolls in the corner of the dining room. I had them all laid out, and I was talking to them and stuff. And he told me, he says, "Don't talk back to yourself." He says, "You'll be in trouble." I said, "Okay." But I just have the warmest feelings when I think about him, and don't have a lot of memories. I remember Mom and Dad, and I just remember how difficult it was on the whole family. I watched it as I grew, and I remember talking to Daddy one time about it, and he was talking, and I said, I think when we die, we meet the people that have gone before us. And I said, I think that Bill will be there for us. And he said, "Do you really believe that?" I said, "Yeah, I truly do, Daddy." It seemed to make him feel a little better, too. So if you're all up there together, I hope you're having a good old time today. And I'm just so honored for this. Thank you.
The family speaking and talking of stories is often my favorite part of these ceremonies, and Linda, you did not disappoint. Nice job. Oh, Annetta, yeah, absolutely. I didn't know you changed. Come on up.
I actually was going to bring a ream of paper and say, well, here's what I want to share. Oh, I love this boy. I really did. Because 89 years ago, on February 9th, 1935, I was born on his 5th birthday. And Daddy came home. I was the first baby in the family to be born in a hospital. And Daddy came home and he said, "We got you a baby doll for your birthday, Bill." And Daddy said, he looked up and said, "I don't want a doll, baby, I'm a boy." So you can see the beginning he and I had together, right? So anyhow, and during my first 5 years, we still lived in the log cabin house that's down the road, yet it hasn't been destroyed. But it doesn't even, I said to Linda, I said, "Oh my word, I don't recognize anything here," as we're coming up the road with all that's built there and filled in and whatever. But I followed him everywhere. I mean, whatever he did, I wanted to do. And this one time, it was raining outside, and we had to stay inside. And so we decided to play follow the leader. He was the leader, I was the follower, right? And we would, in the living room, the kitchen, down in the cellar, upstairs where the bedrooms were, We came back down. Now that log cabin had a cook stove in it. And any of you, look at them looking at me, a cook stove, what's she talking about? Anyhow, you kept the fire going in there, you know, and always the coffee pot and the tea kettle were there on the stove. And so when we got there, Bill reached up like this to the tea kettle and pretended to put his mouth on it. I didn't know it was pretend. I did. I put my mouth on it and I burned my lips. And the game was over. Mom said, that's it, that's enough. and I don't think there's any little ones here so I can tell this. One of the times during the Depression, when Christmas came around, Santa Claus, you know, he had a hard time getting new toys for kids. So Santa Claus repainted their wooden trucks that they had or whatever. And John and Bill went outside to play on Christmas Day, and when they came back in, Bill ran up to my dad. He said, "Boy, are you going to be mad, Dad?" And my dad said, "Why? What happened?" He looked at John and Bill, and they both said together, "Santa Claus got paint on your boots. You're going to be mad." And that's been a family joke for forever and ever. But, you know, he was such a wonderful, kind guy. He always shared everything that he had. And one year he got a pair of skis for Christmas. And where we lived over on Hogback, as it's called, you could look back over the hill and you could see that there was a farmhouse up on the mountain, sort of on the first ledge of the mountain. And he had a nice field that came downhill. And on Christmas Day, Bill took his skis, and every kid that could go with him, now this is in Roaring Spring, not down in McKee, but every kid on the hill there that they all played together, they all went up to the farmer's field, and one by one, they all had an opportunity to ski on his brand new skis. That's the kind of kindness that was always in his heart. And let's see, what else did I put on here? Daddy belonged to the Shawnee Conservation Club. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, but Shawnee Park is still back there. Anyhow, but during the winter time, they would get burlap bags filled with corn on the cob, the dried corn, and they'd haul it up into the mountain to feed the deer and the squirrels, whoever needed it. And Bill always helped Dad with that. And I did get to go one time with them. It was a fun thing to do. You felt like you were doing, I think it was that between what Dad and Bill were doing is what gave me my love for nature, you know, and being outside. And then I know, this is another thing some of you might remember, I don't know, but we used to have a cottage over on the Antrim River. You know, you went up over, what is that, Fredericksburg Mountain out there. But anyhow, in order for us to behave, in the back seat of the car. You remember, we're still kids. Daddy said, "You count cows. You sit on one side of the car, you on the other, and you count cows. And whoever has the most cows when we get there, you're the winner." However, if you ran, if we were going down the road, if there was a cemetery on your side of the car, you lost all your cows. Well, doggone. He was 5 years older than me. He knew things I didn't know. And every time we would get ready to go to the cottage, he would bail right out to the car and jump in. And, you know, and I thought, geez, look at him go. You know, I didn't know what he was doing. Well, guess what? I had the side that had the cemetery on it. And he knew that. He knew where that cemetery was. And it took me several trips before I finally realized, it's always on my side. Why is it always on my side, you know? And then what I really have to say about him, and I remember there's a letter back there on the table from his commanding officer, who in one paragraph, he tells you how Bill was respected and loved by the men in his unit. They liked his mild manner, you know, that he had, that sort of thing. And I think it goes back to when he was a Boy Scout. he took that Boy Scout motto to mean everything. I mean, it was, what do you say, he took it to heart, you know? And the Boy Scouts, you can help me. I mean, what is it? It's trustworthy, loyal, friendly, cheerful, courteous, and kind. I don't know if I got them all or not, but don't correct me. Anyhow, I never remember him ever raising his voice to anyone. In an argument, he sometimes could walk away from an argument. But he always, I mean, he was willing to stand his ground, but never in unkindness. And that's a rare quality in people. It really, really is. And Joel, I don't want to make you cry, honey. But I think it's very important, Joel, and for everybody else to know that when Bill finished at Camp Roberts, they gave them 2 weeks leave. And then you didn't have a gazillion airplanes in the air. We did not know how to get him home for those 2 weeks. And I mean, it was to the place where we just, you know, we just didn't know. We couldn't find an airplane, we couldn't find anything. And I don't really remember how it was that eventually I know he got a ride on a plane that belonged to the Army, partway, you know, and then from there I think we had to pick up, you know, planes or whatever. But anyhow, we did get him home, and the night before he was to leave to go back to Camp Roberts, you were a little squeezer. Your mama probably put you to bed already. But John, my brother John and Joel came over, and Joel was a little toddler. I'm not going to try to guess how old you were then, Joel, but was he about 3 or 4? 4. Anyhow, he was standing there, and he looked up and he said, "Uncle Bill, how come you're going away?" And Bill went over to him, and he got down, and he looked right in Joel's face, and he said, "Joel, I'm going away so that you don't have to." And Joel looked at him, and Bill said, "Okay," and he said, "Okay." That was a good enough answer for you. And I myself was a senior in high school, just turned 17 in February, and I was chairman of the pep club. And I just said to the kids, I'm sorry, I cannot stay with you today. And I think it was Mrs. Long who was our counselor at that time, and I just said, "I'm going home." And I just grabbed my coat and stuff, and I ran all the way home. And I got there just as they were on the curb putting his stuff in the trunk of the car. And I got to hug him and kiss him. And that's the last time I saw him. And I just want you all to know that he was a wonderful, wonderful young man. This honor couldn't come to anyone better than him, I don't think. I loved him, I really did. I only knew him 17 years, but he just was always there for me. And when I come home from school, we walked, and we'd go past the Marston's Cove Dairy, and he was working in there at the time, and he'd always be at the door looking for me, and, you know, we'd have a couple words, and maybe I had an extra nickel that Mom might have had, and I could get 2 dippers of ice cream for a nickel. That was always something we looked forward to, even when he was still in high school. That dairy, and I mean, they didn't give you little tiny things. You got a nice big double-decker ice cream thing. But I just want you to know that he was a wonderful young man. And I'm going to say it, and my daughters will be angry with me, but you know what? Your Uncle Bill wasn't a loser. He was a patriot. And I'm never going to forget that. He was a patriot. So, Rodney, I want to say thank you, hon, for doing this. I just can't imagine what prompted you to even think about this, and to the state of Pennsylvania and whoever was involved in that. Thank you so very, very much for everything. Rodney, in his Christmas letter, he said this, and I want to reread the quote that he said. His spirit will be back in the place where it all began. So thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Well, Annetta, I'm so glad that you decided to speak. It was wonderful to hear, obviously, the humor, but the stories about Bill, as you referred to him as, and obviously he was a very special person. So thank you for that. So I now would ask the Blair County Veterans Honor Guard to, please rise if you're able. I now ask the Blair County Veterans Honor Guard to retire the colors and the playing of the taps.
Honor guard. Okay, up. Forward, arm. Forward, march. Honor guard, hold. Order, arm. Sail, heave. Freeze and arm. Order, arm. Retire the colors. Right, heave. Forward, arm. Forward, march.
So that concludes the ceremony today. I would like to thank the Green family for allowing me to play a small role in today's ceremony. I'd also like to thank the Blair County Veterans Honor Guard for their work, also the Trinity United Methodist Church for hosting the event, and also the American Legion Riders who are also in attendance today as well. So thank you, and everybody be safe and have a good day.